Pixar may be heading back into more original content. What will this mean for Woody and Lightning McQueen? I'm Sasha Pearl-Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News. Ready for a shock to the system? Toy Story came out 22 years ago. That's right, it's probably older than a lot of people watching this video. Since then, Pixar has launched numerous successful franchises that just keep on giving. This summer, at a computer graphics conference called SIGGRAPH, Pixar is hosting a panel called Smash and Grab, off-the-rails filmmaking with Pixar, described as a, quote, internal experimental storytelling initiative to create short films without executive oversight, to explore new creative visions and increase studio opportunities, end quote. In other words, Pixar wants to find new voices. Here to talk with us about what this means are Mary Risk and Lex Michael. Hi, guys.
Hey.
So there is sort of this stable of Pixar directors that we've come to expect. It's the Pete Docter, Lee Unkrich, of course, John Lasseter has been around forever and is a cornerstone, and then Brad Bird. But they're starting to look at new talent, which I am very excited by. Mary, this is not unoriginal for Pixar or for Disney.
No.
Can you sort of give us a little history?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Disney has always been really open to the next great idea. There are people who definitely want to plus what they're doing. They don't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over, and that's how you keep getting exciting content from Disney. And historically, this is something that they've done a couple of times where they've looked at what they've made and they said, we want to go a different direction. Let's bring in some new blood, some new talent. Most historically, it was obviously The Little Mermaid. So the movie that came before The Little Mermaid at the mid-'80s was The Black Cauldron, which you may have never seen. It's really scary.
It's really scary.
Really
I remember
scary.
it vividly. I saw it on vacation in Seattle, and I hated Seattle for a really long time because I associated Seattle and the Black Cauldron.
I get that. It's horrifying. It's like the animation is scary. The visuals are terrifying. Anyway, so Disney looked at their animation team and was like, we want to try something else. This was scary. Let's try something else. And so they brought in Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, who were from Broadway. They'd just done Little Shop of Horrors and had them kind of revitalize the Disney movie musical. And that's how you got Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. And they did some of the work on Aladdin and so on and so forth. And so, you know, you really do have these different periods in Disney where you can kind of see how new talent influences the direction the films are taking.
Yeah.
And Pixar, I mean, Pixar's another great example of that. Disney had such a strong relationship with hand-drawn animation. They wanted to find a way to experiment with computer animation that didn't risk what they'd built with hand-drawn. And Toy Story in 1994, I mean, that was the start of Pixar, was being able to experiment with that. So I get that now, you know, you've come to a place where you have this great computer animation, you have this sort of like, Pixar is known for these heartbreaking stories and like these really like hard-hitting things, but like also things that kids love, like adults love them too.
Yeah.
I get how they want to keep growing on that with some new blood.
Before people get all up in your ats, was it 94 or 95?
Oh, it was 95. I'm
95.
sorry. 94 is when
was Toy Story.
Yeah.
94 is when they came up with the other four movies that followed Toy Story, like right at the end of development and production for that.
So I've actually been lucky enough to go to Pixar, and one of the things that's so incredible when you're at the studio is as you're walking through, there is art that ranges from charcoal to watercolor that people who work there have done as sort of inspiration, either because they are animators or because they have like a different style. So what I love about this is Pixar shorts are one of the things I really look forward to when I go see a Pixar movie.
Yes.
I love the shorts that they do. I don't know why people didn't like Lava more, but I was very into Lava. But like, what was the adorable one with the sandpipers?
Piper.
It was called
so
Piper.
cute.
Like that was just, that's just part of the thing. Or the dog who helps his owner fall in love.
Oh my gosh, Feast.
And you get to go a little bit weird sometimes. You get to go a little bit out there. Like there's plenty of short form Toy Story stuff, but you're playing in a very specific sandbox with a very specific tone.
That's true.
Yeah. But with this, I feel like this is an opportunity for them to say, okay, we want short experimental initiatives, which probably could run in front of future movies. Where do you think they're looking for new directors? Do you think they're looking for new storytellers? What do you think they're doing this for, Lex?
Well, what's great is we've seen now over the past 22 years how Pixar has developed this relationship with their audience. It's a brand that people trust. You know, when you're going to buy your ticket, you see Pixar in a movie, you're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
But all of these concepts were completely brand new, fresh at one point. But we've seen, you know, Toy Story's got a couple of sequels. Cars has got its second sequel coming out.
second sequel.
Yes, third movie.
Yes.
And these sequels are doing crazy well.
Yeah.
So people obviously
they're making the money.
Yeah, so people obviously have an appetite for these characters. But what's great is this desire to get back to, we've got new audience members coming in that have maybe never seen a Pixar movie before. We can tell all these stories with our icons, our Woody, our Buzz, our Lightning McQueen. But there's so much room now to play. And I love the part of this that I really keyed into was without executive oversight.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's very
awesome.
exciting because you've got the best possible tools in the world to tell these types of stories at your disposal, but you're not going to necessarily have a guy in a suit looking over your shoulder noting you to death. You can go big and wild and weird.
Well, and the other thing they do at Pixar is they do a lot of group watch stuff where everybody has input. So they understand that their entire creative team has a great voice and something to offer. Mary, what were you going to add?
Well, I think some of the best original content that you get from Pixar are things that maybe an executive looking at it on paper would have said, oh, that's not sellable. I mean, I think Up is the best example. Your hero is an old man with a walker. It's like, you're not going to sell that action figure. That's not a superhero toy that like boys are going to play with. But that was an amazing movie. And the first 10 minutes of that film, clearly somebody went in and fought for that and said, this can be a fantastic film. And I think Pixar likes that and wants to encourage that. And that's what this initiative is about.
Well, we do have to point out that their sequels are ridiculously successful. Both the direct to DVD or video and what they put out in theaters, Finding Dory and Toy Story 3 have both made over $1 billion with a B dollars. So they have plenty of money to play with. Also, they're within, the Disney umbrella. So it's not like they have to be careful about where their dollars are spent. Right. But as we're talking about this, there wouldn't be a Woody or a Lightning McQueen if there hadn't been originality at the forefront. And I wonder if they're aware that they have great properties, but people could start suffering from sequelitis.
Yes.
And also, when you are such a forward-thinking company, keep moving forward. Like, I think Coco looks so beautiful.
Incredible.
Yeah. And I want to see more of that. What would you like to see them do more of, Lex?
Oh man, it's so, they hit so many things so well. We were talking, I think, before we came in here about how I keep forgetting about Inside Out, and every time I remember Inside Out, I'm just sitting there and I'm almost gonna weep, you know what I mean? Because it is so beautiful and so emotionally affecting.
Sad is hitting your buttons in the controller.
Yes.
It's so real.
But we were talking about the first 10 minutes of Up. I mean, you can tell these stories with the most out there surface level settings and characters that are still intensely human, intensely recognizable, intensely moving. I think this decision, speaks to a certain amount of confidence in the audience, that the audience, yes, is not just going to want to see the same familiar stories recycled, repackaged.
Absolutely.
But also a tremendous amount of faith in the artists that they've got over there. And I really like to see that as well, because it's like, yeah, we trust you guys. Here, go, play. I just want to see the weirdness of it all. I want to see people getting to create with as long a leash as possible.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is something where they're going to start with shorts and that's sort of going to be their farm for talent, and then they'll start doling out? Because we know that there are three Untitled projects, one coming out on March 13th, 2020, one on June 19th, 2020, and one on June 18th, 2021.
And those first two we know are going to be original. The third one they haven't said yet whether it's original or going to be in an existing franchise of theirs, but they're going to bring us two completely new Pixar original stories.
Do you think that they are looking for people to step up after that? Do you think they're looking for shorts to run in front of that? Do you think there was any okay, we want something that's about sandpipers, or we want something that's about a dog who likes food? Do you think there was any sort of creative brief, or do you think they literally were like, let your imagination run wild?
I think it's the latter. I mean, they probably explained what they were kind of looking for in the sense of harvesting talent, but beyond that, it doesn't seem like they're the kind of company that's going to say, oh, we're only looking for shorts. Because if someone comes back with a great short idea and Pixar thinks it could make a movie, maybe they'll make it a movie.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, if someone comes back with a great short, why wait and run it until 2021 when you can have it be a contender for shorts next year at the Oscars?
Absolutely. Well, Pixar president Jim Morris spoke to Entertainment Weekly last year and said that their business model is very much a filmmaker model. And I think it goes beyond that. I think that they really are the place that I personally feel like I look to for artistry and cutting edge filmmaking, like WALL-E. WALL-E is basically like a Kubrick movie that just turned into an animated
robot film.
Beautiful robot film.
Yeah.
It's so original, it's so unique. When you don't have the constraints of, let's say, DreamWorks Animation, which is still sort of trying to figure out exactly who they're selling to, Do you think that they ever say, like, we can't do that? Or do you think that that's what makes them so great, is there is nothing they can't do?
Personally, so technically when you sign a screenwriting contract with Disney, there are 3 rules that they give you that you say you can't do these 3 things in a Disney Pixar film.
It's not kill the mom, because they do that all the time.
Right.
It's very upsetting.
It's almost a prerequisite.
Right?
It's impalement, beheading, and smoking.
Really?
So those are the 3 things, which is funny because there are lots of old Disney movies where like Pinocchio is like puffing a cigar.
Wait, those are, you can't impale someone.
You can't impale somebody because Little Mermaid was too scary and people did not like when Ursula got impaled with the ship.
Okay.
You can't behead anybody because it's not Game of Thrones.
Save it for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and you can't smoke on screen because America,
bad.
which is funny because we'll get that's a whole other
long time ago. That was a very long time
That's
ago.
a whole other thing. But you know, so I think that really what Pixar has done the best with is by saying maybe this is an idea another studio wouldn't have pursued. I think they don't want to box anybody in. I think they just want to get as much as they can from the creative netherworld of like insane creative minds.
Do you think we're ever going to see something more along the lines of like a Tangled or a Frozen out of Pixar? Something
Well, we had Brave, and I feel like Brave was a good take on the Pixar princess story. She doesn't get married, which... Good job, Pixar.
Yeah.
Really proud of you. Her
But I
hair
mean more
is
of like
amazing.
a full musical. Like, will they ever? And if they did, who would you want to see them partner with? Like, if they were to go like full
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, that's my go-to for everything now.
He's very much owned by Disney with like Moana, and now he's doing like Mary Poppins. But do you think we'll ever see that, or are they just like, no, Mom and Dad, you guys take care of that?
I feel like Disney's got that so down to a science now. I feel like what we're more likely to see is another, like Toy Story was almost, if you're a Randy Newman fan, a bit of a sneaky musical if you're paying attention.
Sure.
I think we're a lot more likely to see another collaboration of that sort than a full-on musical.
And I think if we do get a musical, it will actually be something where the music makes sense in the world of the story. So like a That Thing You Do sort of musical, where you have, maybe it's about a band, maybe it's about a family of traveling musicians. You know, I think Pixar would be more likely to do something like that.
Coco too, though, does look to be very music heavy.
There's a lot of music in it.
There is a lot of music in it. Oh, good call. Well, maybe Coco will be our next Tangled. All I know is, for a place where it's already impossible to get a job, now that they've got this as an opportunity, oh man, the resumes are flooding in.
Yeah.
But we want to know, what are you most excited for on Pixar's slate? And if you were going to do a short film for them, what would your idea be? Let us know in the comments below. You can tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, you can always click here for more Screen Junkies news. See you soon.